Hey, this is Russ Lucier, and I see that people are still out there finding ways to break bones and having to get frames put on even though we're all in lockdown. And so I wanted to do this video to all the new framies in this Facebook group and maybe give you some encouraging words. Tip number one, most important throughout the whole time you've got the frame on, you got to remember that frames are friends, not foes. That's right. These frames are the best way to fix your bones. They're the best way to press them together, make it so that you can still be weight bearing, and make things so that you don't have to have permanent metal inside your legs, hopefully anyway. So that's tip number one. Frames are friends, not foes. Tip number two, don't compare yourself to other framies. This is my frame, or there's my frame, and it was bigger than I see a lot of people having here on this page. After a while I started realizing this, and then I started feeling kind of sorry for myself and then getting a bit bitter when somebody would complain about having something that was a bit smaller. But listen, it doesn't matter. You still have this invasive contraption on your leg that is piercing your skin and bones, and it's not nice no matter how big it is. And another thing too, there's always someone worse off. I was inspired by a gentleman I saw who had a prosthetic on one leg and a frame on the other. So he was someone who was in a worse position than I was. So it doesn't matter. We all have sort of a tailor-made trial to go through, and that's what we have to keep in mind. So some have worse situations, some have better, but yours is yours, and own it and embrace it, and you will get through. Now along these lines, there are a lot of people who, well, everybody has a different surgeon. Each surgeon has a different approach. So that's something to keep in mind. Everybody's brakes are different. Some are more complex than others, and everybody's frames are different. Some people have an Ilizarov frame, and some people have a Taylor Spatial Frame. The Taylor Spatial Frame has more sort of moving parts in those struts and everything that would make things come together better. You can sort of steer the bones into place, and it's good to keep in mind too that that's what's really going on. Okay, so tip number three, you're going to get pin site infections, most likely anyway. Most people do. Don't worry about it. After a while, you've had that frame on for a while, you're going to be looking at it and going, yeah, it's a pin site infection. You go, you get yourself some antibiotics, and it gets taken care of. A lot of times the pin site infections end up being maybe cellulitis. That's okay. Listen, I'm not a professional on this stuff, by the way, but this is just the experiences I've had. You have pin site infections, and they come and they go. Flucloxacillin is a common way to treat pin site infections. And listen, just because your pin site is oozing, it doesn't mean it's an infection necessarily. If it's oozing pus, well then yes it is. Mine oozed blood sometimes. Sometimes they oozed an amber color. I think that might have been sort of a plasma mixed with who knows what. But look, think about it. You've got holes in your leg. They're gonna ooze sometimes. Stuff's gonna come out. Don't panic. Don't sweat it. Learn to know what your body is doing. Learn to know your leg and your pin sites. Tip number five. Don't be afraid to show your hardware. I've seen some people act almost like they're ashamed or embarrassed to have a frame on their leg. Don't. You're just another person. You're out in the world. You're doing what you got to do, and you've got this thing on your leg. I had my frame on for 16 months, and most of the time I was a bit self-conscious, yeah, and sometimes I looked at people staring at it, trying to figure out what the heck was going on. But trust me, nobody's judging you or thinking it's ugly, or, well, yeah, it's a bit ugly, but anyway, don't worry about it. Just flaunt it if you got it. You know, it's okay. Wear the frame. I wore shorts as much as I could because it was just a pain in the butt to put trousers on. So, you know, I wore shorts and I had one strange reaction from a guy who saw it and was shocked, and it just fell out of his mouth. This I won't say what he said, but it was a bit of profanity. I think that was his way of saying he felt sorry for me. I don't know, or maybe he was saying, "Dude, man, you shouldn't be out here in public." But that's his problem if he was feeling that way. So don't worry about it. Go out there, and people are really, most of the time, people are very gracious about your frame. So don't be afraid to show it. Number 6, tip number 6. This question always comes up on this Facebook page. Can you get it wet, your frame? Here's my tip. Don't worry about that either. Different surgeons are telling our patients different things. Some say that you can take a shower but cover your leg. My surgeon said to take a shower with the frame on. Doesn't matter, just he wanted me to blow it dry when I was done. I think running water is okay. Again, I'm not the expert. Just do what your surgeon says to do. But that's a question that comes up a lot. Ask your surgeon. Hey, maybe that's tip number 6 or 7 or wherever I am. Ask your surgeon if you're unclear about things. I do find myself surprised at how many people have questions for this group, but they're not asking their surgeons. So, and that's because I think the surgeons sometimes are busy, or they forget that we don't know these things, and they forget to tell us. Don't worry about your scars. You're going to have scars. Like I said, you're getting holes through your legs, holes through your skin, your muscle, your bones. There's going to be scars. Some of us are going to scar more than others. If you're worrying about a couple of little dimples, but the next guy has cuts and tears all over his legs and has 40-something pin sites in there, well, that's not going to make him feel so good. There's nothing he's going to be able to do it, or her. So don't worry about those. They're your battle scars. They're your trophies of something you survived. It's great. Don't worry about it. It's vanity if you're worried about it. It doesn't make you any less attractive or anything like that. So don't sweat the scars. Okay, so here's my last tip. Push yourself. A lot of people get into the mode where they're sitting at home and they don't think they can do anything. I'm worried that a lot of times people aren't being told that they can do things. I'm not bragging. I just have a couple of clips I want to show you. There's one here where I am doing stiff-legged deadlifts, and you can see the frame is sitting there on my leg. I tried to get to the gym when I could, and here's another one. I wasn't weight bearing yet, so I crawled from my wheelchair onto this pec deck machine, and was trying to go at it there. This is because these are things I did before I had my accident, so I'm not suggesting necessarily you pick up weight training, after in this position right now if you've never done it before. But find something, get away, find yourself something to do that can get you challenged physically. Your body really needs that. You need to stay active. You might have some weight gain if you don't, or your circulation decreases. All sorts of different things can happen because you become sedentary. Don't do that. You don't need to. There's always a way to move. And as far as walking, there's a lot of different advice. Everybody says, well, when can I start walking? Is it normal to hurt when I'm walking this way or that way? And the frames are meant to bear your weight. So as soon as the surgeon gives you that okay, you go ahead and do it. Push through the pain to a degree, but at the same time, listen to your body. It's a delicate balance. Do both. Push yourself, but at the same time, listen to your body. Know when it's telling you that you need to stop. For me, I had overall fatigue in my body, almost pretty much the whole time I had the frame on, but especially at the beginning. So I knew that my body was putting all of its energy into healing those bones. And then of course, having to move myself around with my upper body, which is not something your body's used to doing. It wants to use your legs to mobilize, and it can't at this particular moment. So your body can become fatigued because of that. So eat well, make yourself have as much energy as you can have stored up anyway, and you'll find yourself in a pretty good position to push yourself a bit. This might also mean going to work if you can. I know, of course, with the lockdown, a lot of us can't do that, but find a way to keep your mind engaged. So I think I just actually mixed a few tips in there at all. I'm not a professional at this, as you can see. But you know, I'm kind of bored too, and I'm trying to find something to do. So anyway, I hope you're okay, and you keep it up. Listen, if you have some things to add your own self, go to the comments below and add some tips for our fellow framies. And I'm sure you've got something in mind that I hadn't covered here. Take care of yourself.